that scene with Eric Dane. Eric Dane. That's good stuff. Steve, let's just talk first of all, season 4 is coming up August 20th. We're all very excited.
As are we.
How did you shape the season? Okay, you got 3 seasons behind you.
Yeah.
Time has passed. Tell me where you dove into it.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming, everybody. We were blessed because TNT gave us a 2-season pickup right away. So we had the chance to sort of make longer-term plans. But a couple of things were going on. For me, it was, where do we want to go in the world? I always wanted to go to the Mediterranean. I thought that'd be a great place for the ship to go. I wanted to sort of do our telling of the Odyssey, which is the greatest sea story, with our guys on the ship. And I wanted to explore different themes, especially because it's been a few years since the show started, and we really haven't focused a lot on the average person and how the plague has affected them. The plague, and now in this season, the famine. Picture in this room, if 90% of the people in this room left the planet, and you're left behind, and you're in a world of chaos and civil wars and all kinds of terrible things happening, and you have all this post-traumatic stress. These guys on the ship, they are always focused on the mission. They don't have to think about that as much, but the rest of the planet is suffering. So we kind of deal with those issues. We deal with big issues of homecoming, what that means, and then we're sort of doing a little bit of our own version of the Odyssey in the Mediterranean. So we go to Greece, Italy, Algeria, Morocco, Spain. It's fun.
And how has the plague actually changed over time? Because we've seen it in different stages, but where did we find it in season 4?
Well, as another big science fiction film likes to say, life finds a way. And the virus is no longer affecting human beings. And so it jumps kingdoms back to where it started, in the plant world. And it's affecting a class of plants called camelinids, which are grasses, wheats, corn, soybean, rice, basically all the food crops and everything that's needed to sustain the biosphere. So there's a massive worldwide famine spreading, and these guys on the ship are looking for a primordial seed that has inside it DNA that makes it naturally immune to this disease, so they can hopefully tap into that and find a cure.
You regularly kind of touch on a lot of different themes throughout the series, just in the different storylines we've seen. What are some of the themes you wanted to touch on in season 4?
Well, on a bigger scale, it's the idea of homecoming and how do you remake the planet that you've lost and try to find a way to be a human being inside of it. On a personal level, it's for our characters. Chandler left the ship at the end of season 3. He exiled himself from the ship because he felt he couldn't be the leader he needed to be because of the crimes he committed. He'd seen parts of his personality he didn't like anymore, angry, vindictive, and he put himself into exile. And really what he's struggling with is what humans all struggle with, which is how do you deal with all those parts of your personality. And so we deal with that issue too, about what makes you a human being, and how do you keep the angry in season 4.
Happy, healthy, a little angry. It's been a very long hiatus for him, and we find him in the Mediterranean, which, that's probably where I would have gone.
We see him smile a little bit in the first episode, which we're not used to seeing him smile a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Well,
he seems happy though, for a few minutes.
For a few minutes, a few episodes actually. No, I think Chandler is in probably a better place now. I really think that Greece was good for him, and I wish he would have spent more of the season there. But duty calls, and eventually, you have to know Chandler's going to, in some way, shape, or form, find himself in the mix again.
Well, as we saw in that clip, trouble eventually finds him, as it tends to do.
That is one of the themes, as well as, to borrow from the Greeks again, the idea of destiny. You can't run from your destiny, and Chandler's destiny is to be the hero. Even if he's the reluctant hero, he has to eventually answer the call.
Talk about the choreography and just the work that goes into shooting a fight scene like we just saw.
It was interesting because we prepared for that fight scene for like a month. And we had all these moves that we were going to do. And when we got there on the day, I don't know if it was the time constraints or what, but we basically threw it all out and just kind of riffed as we made it up as we went along. And it worked out because, there some of the moves are just variants of the same move, but the guy I was fighting with is actually a professional wrestler. So he adapted pretty quickly, and he kind of led the dance, and I did what I was told.
Yeah, speaking to what Steve said about Chandler being a hero, is he going to kind of maybe embrace that more in season 4? Is it something he's still going to be kind of running from or just ignoring?
I don't think he ever embraced it. I think everything for him was always a we and never an I. And as reluctant as he may have been to take over the reins, it's always been a group effort for him. And the hero thing is not something I think he was very comfortable with. So, and those are the best heroes anyway, the guys who don't want to be heroes. But Chandler, like you said, just trouble kind of finds him, and he finds himself in precarious situations, and one way or another figures a way out.
Also in that clip, Steve, we saw some nefarious looking characters there. Do we have like a single big bad this season, or is somebody at least at the start of the season?
Well, we have a host of big bads. A lot of stories will collide, but we have, because the seed is so important to sustaining life, there are a lot of people out there who want it. So our guys come across various bad guys. But what you saw there is Jackson Rathbone came this year to play a really delicious villain for us. He's a sort of a Greek mafia guy who shakes down fishermen for their take and runs these fight clubs for his enjoyment. But there are others that they come across in Morocco and in southern Spain and in Algeria, and then we have a few surprises down the road too.
Adam, how's Slattery doing? I mean, he's the captain now. He's in charge of the Nathan James, but how's he doing without his best friend and just with these responsibilities? How do we see him at the start of the season?
He misses Chandler. Obviously, the mission must continue, and as we came to know the characters, they were equal rank. Chandler had more years in and a little bit more seniority, so he has the ability to take over, and he's able to run the Nathan James as need be and continue the mission. But he does hope to one day reacquaint himself with Tom Chandler. And there's some interesting things that happen in his history. We all suffered the losses of our families and our friends by the millions, and so he and the crew are struggling with those tragedies and with survival. And Slattery's family, there is a way that we explain some things about his lost family that I think are really cool, really interesting, and he won't let me tell you how. So
It's really cool though.
Okay, good. So, because I was going to ask if we get an update on that, because I know that's been a thread through since the show began.
yes.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. If without Chandler there, who is he leaning on? Who's kind of his go-to?
Well, again, what we've learned through our filming with The Last Ship is that we've had the honor of spending time with the real Navy and aboard real Navy ships with, real Navy. And I think we're all, to a man and woman on our show, impressed by the strength and the courage and just the ability of young people to run these platforms of battle. And so Slattery's no different. He relies on his crew. He leans on his crew. They work as a unit. There are some main characters, Sasha being one of them. She's still around. Thank you for staying. Appreciate it. Malin and Burke and a slew of other young, strong people. So he has a good crew. But there's a bit of a hole in his heart.
Well, with food being scarce kind of in the whole world, does that also affect the ship? Can you see that affect that?
Yeah, it affects the mission. One of the reasons why they're once again the last ship is that the Navy can't sustain a fleet without the ability to replenish them. So they go into this mission and they find out that pretty much their home base in Spain, Rota, Spain, where they've been working from, is closing down because they can't support it. So they're on the ship with a supply of food. You'll see signs around the ship saying, please just take one, and ration your food and all that stuff. So hunger affects them and everyone else, and they're much more in it. You know, in previous seasons they've been in hazmat suits or hiding on the ship. Here they're among the people and they're really sharing their pain and they're kind of doing what the Navy actually does, which is, you know, share and shoulder the burden. So that it definitely hits home for the crew as well.
It's very lonely down here. Will you guys talk to me? I feel like half our cast got left in.
That's the virus.
They'll be sitting there.
We voted them off.
They'll be voting nobody else off tonight. Also in the clip, we saw some kicking ass courtesy of Bridget Regan as Sasha. Awesome. What are some of Cooper's challenges in this season?
Well, when Chandler walked off the ship at the end of season 3, it was, shock, heartbreaking, and devastating. It really shook her up. When we meet up with the crew of the Nathan James, we fast forwarded like a year and a half or so, and Sasha isn't a character who sits and thinks about how she feels. Not many characters on this show are. I think they all find it easier to focus on the task at hand, be fed by the adrenaline of the fight, and keep working. That being said, he's not an easy guy to get over, but she's trying. She's trying.
Because they did have that nice smooch at the end of season 3.
Nice smooch.
Nice.
What more do you want?
Eric,
Walked away.
Eric, is Cooper in Chandler's thoughts with where he's at now?
I don't think so.
Just gonna put you on the spot for a second.
In Greece, on the beach in the Mediterranean. Yeah, I think everybody's in Chandler's thoughts. I think it weighs heavy on him.
I will say that Sasha and Bridget, in season 3, she spoke about 6 or 7 different languages, and she'll speak a few more this season too. It's kind of fun to watch her do it. She sounds good.
It's a lot of homework.
It's very intimidating and impressive how you do that.
But I'm not alone. We have a new cast member, Joanie Turner-Smith, and she also joins me, and she nails it. Yeah.
And talk about some of the other guest stars we are seeing. You already mentioned.
Yes, Jodie Smith is one of our regulars this season. Of course, Emerson Brooks comes back as Malin, and we have a little bit of a surprise. You saw there in the clip, so it's not a surprise anymore, that Tex's daughter Kathleen actually joins the crew as a young airman, and Jackson Rathbone plays a part. And as you'll see in the clip coming up, we have a special guest in director, also actor this season, Peter Weller.
Peter Weller, who was RoboCop?
Peter Weller, who is RoboCop.
Okay, that's big.
Peter and I talked last year at dinner about the Mediterranean Sea. He's got a house out there. I just visited his house out there. It's very nice. And he's a very Renaissance man about the history of the region, art, and religion, and mythology. And we were talking about this kind of stuff. And as I started talking to him, I said, I need you to do me a favor. I know you're going to come back and direct, and that's going to be great, but I need you to be in the show because I'm writing a part for you. So we tailor-made a part for Peter, and I think he really brings a lot to the show this year. He becomes a great foil for these guys.
I want to hear from the actors. I know you guys all have dialogue with real-life service people out there via Twitter and other social media. How has that influenced your role and how you approach it? And because you do hear from people that are out there really doing it. Can you talk about maybe an instance where you did kind of converse or communicate with somebody about that?
I worked with a female naval intelligence officer, and she took me on board her ship, the USS Macon Island, and took me into her quarters and where her team was. I got to meet all of them, and it was awesome. It was totally a game changer for me. I also have a friend who's a helicopter pilot for the Navy, and she took me there. And it just makes it feel really real, and the fact that any veteran would dig our show just means the world to me. It's like, we're doing something right if you guys are enjoying it, so,
Adam and Eric, have you talked to other people?
I still talk to the original captain, the Halsey, the USS Halsey, the ship we shot the pilot on. And he's since moved on. He's at the Pentagon now. He's actually in charge of buying all the weaponry for the military. Can't really say anything else about it. But every time I go to Washington, D.C., I make time for them. And they're just great people. The Navy culture has been something that we've been, living with for the last 5 years, and it's been educational and inspiring, and it's changed a lot of people's attitudes toward the military. I think that's a good thing.
I have a list here, actually, if you can indulge me. Because we're in San Diego, and this is the home of the show, and the base is down the street, and it's our second home, and we're going to be going from here to the base to screen the premiere for the Navy at the pier where we film. So I just want to give you a quick list. Everything I say, every ship I say here, just picture this plus 300 to 500 sailors on those ships who helped us make this show. USS Halsey, USS Russell, USS Dewey, USS Wayne Meyer, USS Kidd, USS Sterrett, USS Pinckney, USS William P. Lawrence, USNS Mercy, USS San Diego, USS Rafael Peralta, USS Macon Island. Also, North Island, ACU-5, Red Beach, the Marines have been helping us this year as well. All those people, all those COs, XOs, all those enlisted people, they stepped forward for us to believe the mission we were telling. And we couldn't have done the show without them, and we wouldn't want to. And honestly, it's changed our lives immensely.
What would you guys say surprises you the most? Is it some of the situations these people put themselves in, or is it the emotional journeys they go on, or what kind of has surprised you the most when you hear these stories?
I just love, again, the youth and the strength and the dedication that we meet in and amongst the service members, especially the Navy and the Marines these days. They spend time sacrificing away from home, loved ones, but they do it with honor, courage, and commitment. They stand strong, and they're happy to do it. And if they can look at us when we come aboard and occasionally throw a salute our way, and we can think, no, it's just a costume. Okay. See, the command pin's on the wrong side. The nitpickers out there online, they find this, command pin's on the wrong side, so, yeah, and then we hear
Are they on the wrong? I didn't know that. The command, is that why we're not, I'm not getting saluted as often as I should be?
Maybe it's the donuts in your hand and the umbrella behind you.
Yeah, I think the Sulaco gives it away.
Yeah, it's the culture. It's we come up also due respect to our people and our crew who work really, really hard and treat our job like a military operation. The Navy was kind of blown away by the people who worked with us at how well we do our job. But it was this great mutual love affair, and everyone's working together, everyone's doing their job, and suddenly the whistle blows and it's time for colors. The flag's going up or the flag's going down, and it doesn't matter if you're a Teamster or you're a fire patrol officer or you're an XO or you're a catering guy. Everyone stopped, turned towards the flag, and we all felt like, patriotic Americans in that moment. And I think it really helped the actors feel like sailors.
That's a really important point. Our crew, again, we're not military. We're sort of like there's a military ethos of work that our crew puts in. There's no violence involved, but the hours that they put in, well, those are just the cranky ones. But the hours that they put in, the dedication they put in, and they love it. They love being a part of it and getting our show up and running. And the logistics, when you see the amount of gear that has to be transported to the pier and back and on board and back and forth, it's amazingly impressive. And I understand why all cast members who work with crews that are so dedicated thank them, because without them, we couldn't do it. We're standing on their shoulders. We couldn't do it without the words. And we just try to be kind and show up on time and be good.
Yeah, our crew are the real badasses of the show. They really are. They're incredible.
But we just hope that we take you around the world, every year and give you a great story and hopefully dig deep into sort of what makes these people who they are as sailors, as characters, and this season is no different.
Members that you'd like to have a little more time with?
I want to work with the guy in this chair.
Anyway.
I get to work with everybody, so I'm not answering this question.
I think there's been a great balance over the course of the seasons. We've had clusters where we're working with a certain group, and then we splinter off and then circle back. So I think it's a good
I
balance.
think you need more time with Halsey, the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Is Halsey still alive?
He's alive and well. Yeah.
Oh, good.
He's teaching at the War College.
I don't get to work with Halsey.
Just don't put me in a fight scene against Brent, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me
Nice.
neither.
You heard that. Well, I think we're going to see the full trailer for season 4 now, so we can see a little bit more what we're going to see. So let's take a look at the trailer for season 4.